Just wave at him, Bob.
We're ready, Bill.
Really?
All right.
Let's get through this week.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, July 29th. It is about 6 p.m. and 30 seconds, according to my vision without glasses. I will call the Wednesday, July 29th, Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. If we could all please rise for the invocation and the pledge. Dr. Lathrop.
Heavenly Father, it says in the Bible that all good things come down from you, the Father of lights. And we thank you for the light in our lives that comes from you. And if we look back in our life, we see your hand has blessed us all the way since we've been a child. Continue to bless us now. Bless this board and bless our citizens. And God bless America. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bonnie, if you would call the roll, please.
Commissioner Lathrop,
Here.
Kropa,
Here.
Wheelock,
Yes, ma'am.
Klaus,
Here.
Crawford,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Maxbauer.
Here. Our next order of business is approval of the minutes.
Madam Chairman, I would move to approve the regular board minutes of June 24, 2015.
Okay. Commissioner Kropa, I was hoping you would raise your hand.
I did not look to make sure that they were corrected. I thought that they were corrected prior to being put in our packet, and I should have double-checked that before I look here.
We had a, in case anyone's wondering what we're doing here, we found an error in the public health and safety minutes, and we're checking to make sure that that error was corrected in our board packet.
That might not be coming out until next
The public health and
week's-
safety minutes will come to your public health and safety meeting next week.
Next week.
Okay.
For
Yep.
approval, and
All
I
right.
don't know if you contacted to get it corrected. and
Okay,
check with me.
I'll let you know, Bonnie.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
All right, in that case,
But
we
the
have,
board minutes,
The board minutes.
I read were correct.
okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. This is our first opportunity for public comment. Bonnie, would you read the rules, please?
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act as amended. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. A, any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. B, no person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. Chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak.
All right. Is there anyone who wishes to make public comment?
I would like to.
Please come on forward. Up to the podium, please. We like to get public comment on the microphone.
Okey doke.
All right.
My name is Jack Achenbach. I live at 802 Spring Hill Road, Traverse City. There is concern among construction contractors as to the future of Grand Traverse County Construction Code Department. I have been involved in the construction field here in our area since 1999. Over the past 15 years, dealing with permitting processes here and in surrounding jurisdictions, I have become very familiar with a varying level of services provided. It is my opinion that the county department has been and continues to be acting and operating at a level above those services provided nearby. With this department operating on fees collected to administer and enforce the code as directed, it is difficult to understand the concern continuing the service. Please clarify for us in the industry the Commission's direction moving forward concerning the Construction Code Department. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Agostinelli?
Nick Agostinelli, 1645 Lake Drive. I'm a general contractor in Traverse City, but as we spoke last time I was here, you guys asked me to let you know what was going on in Leelanau and Benzie County as I'm building houses out there. and I wish I knew Mr. Akiak was going to be here. I would have talked to him ahead of time. But 4th of July weekend, I need an electrical inspection in Leelanau County. Electrical inspector went on vacation a day before the 4th and then took the following week off. So I didn't get an electrical inspection for 2 weeks. That cost me out of my pocket $150, and I don't know what mortgage interest my client paid for that 2 weeks. On Monday, we called for a plumbing and mechanical inspection, knowing that they only come out on Monday and Wednesdays, or on Wednesdays, yeah, Monday and Wednesdays. They didn't show up today. So again, we lose another week. I can't stress to you folks how good of a construction code department that we have. And I will come again and talk more as this proceeds. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, come on up.
Good evening, Matt Scheck, 306 9th Street. I've got an announcement to make, and I think there's an enclosure in your packet. On Sunday, August 2nd, one of the country's foremost authorities on property rights will be speaking at Great Wolf Lodge Conference Center in Traverse City. Tom DeWeese, author of Now Tell Me I Was Wrong, and much in demand as a speaker for his authoritative knowledge of the UN Rio Earth Conference of 1992, which set into motion serious challenges to your property rights. Tom DeWeese is one of the nation's leading advocates of individual liberty, free enterprise, private property rights, personal privacy, back to basics education, and American sovereignty and independence. Tom has helped individuals and government officials realize that draconian measures that supposedly protect the environment also mean or can mean the demise of liberty. Tom welcomes all government officials to hear his presentation. Also speaking at this event is a constitutional attorney and former prosecutor, author and radio host, KrisAnne Hall. KrisAnne travels the country teaching the Constitution and the history that gave us our founding documents. KrisAnne will connect the dots for you like no one else can. As an author, KrisAnne has written 5 books, all dealing with the constitutional foundation of America and the character and diversity of those individuals who charted our course in history. As a host of the KrisAnne Hall Show, she pulls no punches, puts liberty first, and gives no quarter to those who hide behind party labels. The Property Rights and Liberty Forum begins at 1 p.m. on Sunday, August 2nd at the Great Wolf Lodge Conference Center in Traverse City. You are all invited. In fact, if you could extend that invitation to any of the subcommissions, especially planning departments or council of government people, please do so. For more information on tickets, though, you can go to event.grow.tc or call 932-1653. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Seeing no additional public comment, next on our agenda is approval of the agenda. I am going to be pulling item number 10B. That is not ready for discussion this evening. I have spoken with Mr. Forsyth and Mr. McCallier, and both are in agreement that that will be pulled this evening. Are there any other additions and or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Lathrop, supported by Commissioner Krofba. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right. On to the consent calendar. Bonnie, it is your turn again.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file, or approval is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive and file. Number 1, correspondence from Green Lake Township dated July 1st. Number 2, correspondence regarding resource recovery dated July 15th. Number 3, Pugsley Correctional Facility minutes of April 2nd. Number 4, Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency minutes of May 21st. Number 5, Traverse Area District Library minutes of May 21st. Number 6, Grand Traverse County Department of Health and Human Services minutes of May 26th. Number 7, Airport Commission minutes of May 26th. Number 8, Conservation Resource Alliance minutes of June 5th. Number 9, Land Bank Authority minutes of June 10th. Number 10, Conservation Resource Alliance minutes of June 10th. Number 11, Grand Traverse County Board of Public Works minutes of June 11th. Number 12, Northern Lakes Community Mental Health minutes of June 18th. Approvals. The Public Health and Safety Committee recommends approval of the following. Number 13, Commission on Aging Staffing Plan Amendment. Number 14, Mitchell and McCormick Annual Maintenance and Support Agreement. Number 15, Environmental Health Classification Amendment. Number 16, Consulting Services Agreement, Tom Menzel. The Resource Management Administration Committee made no recommendations this month. The Ways and Means Committee recommends approval of the following. Number 17, Health Department Mutual Aid Assistance Agreements. Number 18, Budget Adjustments. Number 19, Tuition Reimbursement Increase. Number 20, 2014 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report Audit.
All right. Would any member of the public like any item removed from the consent calendar? Any member of the commission? Staff? In that case, I would entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar, approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Dr. Johnson, supported by Commissioner Crawford. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next is our special order of business, and we have a presentation this evening by Elaine Wood from Networks Northwest. Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you, and good evening, Commissioners. Thanks for giving me a few minutes on your agenda to present our annual report. I know you saw an electronic version of this, right, in advance, so I gave you the hard copy tonight because I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes it's easier to actually read a hard copy. So there's a lot of information in this annual report, and tonight all I want to do is skim over a few of the highlights, and I hope that you will, if you haven't had a chance already, take the time to really read the report, because there's a great deal of content in there that will give you a really good feeling for our last year's activities. Page 2 is our transmittal letter. It's a very heartfelt letter with a lot of thought that went into it, so please read that. As you can tell from our logo, everything we do it can be classified in 3 different categories: talent, business, and community. So our report is organized that way. So we'll start with the talent development section, and we do all this activity under the brand of Northwest Michigan Works. And you'll remember that Michigan Works is a statewide brand with the local region name put on the front of it. So on page 3, you can see some of the basic information that's collected about us, the number of visits made. And last year, over 63,000 visits were made to our Michigan Works Centers. That's an awful lot of traffic in a region with only 300,000 people. And the number of visitors, unduplicated individuals who came into Michigan Works, was over 17,000. And you can see that broken out by county of residence. Going on to, stop me anytime if you have questions, but I'm just going to keep rolling. On page 4 is some of the data about our Michigan Works system. We have 2 sets of accountability. One is a state dashboard, and one is our 17 federal performance measures. On page 4 is our state dashboard. I'm not going to go into any detail except to say that we did very well on all of those measures. Our traffic counts were a little bit down in 14 compared to 13, but that's actually a good sign. We did a number of special events last year, sort of on top of our normal routine daily activities in Michigan Works. We did an auto diesel career fair and an information technology career fair. Those were both in response to market demand from companies. We did a couple special activities for veterans last year. We did a Jobs for Vets event in March, and we also created a new website just for veterans. We found that veterans weren't tending to reach out to us, and so we extended extra effort to reach out to them, including a special website for them. We started a new program last year called Jobs for America's Graduates, which works with high school kids to go into the schools and help them learn about what employers expect of people in the workplace. And we also do what we call career connection workshops. And of course, this doesn't apply too much to people in your county because our biggest Michigan Work Center is right here in Traverse City. But in many of the smaller communities, we reach out to people so that we can connect with them, and hopefully then they will come into a Michigan Work Center to continue their activity. So you can see a list of those communities. Then also last year, we started doing what we call talent tours. And this started out as an effort to help young people learn about careers in manufacturing and how different those careers are now compared to their parents' generation. And we actually did, in the Grand Traverse, Kalkaska, Leelanau, Antrim, we did 4 of those talent tours for 580 high school students. And you can see the other counties listed there. We also do special hiring events for groups of employers, sometimes like 4 to 6 or 8 companies. And last year we did 45 of those special hiring events in our Traverse City, Michigan Work Center. Then on the next page, we just kind of broke down some additional special activities by sub-region. So you can see the list there for our 4 middle counties. Veterans Appreciation Night, the Northern Michigan Business Expo and Job Fair. We did a number of resume after hours events at Traverse City Michigan Works. We also did 2 Hot Jobs Now events at Traverse City Michigan Works. We did some just-in-time training, and you can read about those things there. We also brought in $194,000 of funding for companies to do incumbent worker training last year in the Middle 4 County area. Also on page 5, you can see that chart. We provided direct tuition or training costs for 386 people, and you can see that most of that was in the manufacturing sector, but it was also covered many other sectors, which you can see on that chart. Going to page 6, continuing with Michigan Works, our largest set of programs in Michigan Works falls under the Workforce Investment Act. We served almost 14,000 people in just the Workforce Investment Act last year. We also met or exceeded all of our federal performance standards, which you can see in that chart. And we also exceeded the state average performance in all but 2. The 2 where we met our standards but didn't exceed the state average was on the 2 wage performance measures, which kind of makes sense since our wages tend to be lower here than state averages. Going on to page 7, this covers our adult education program. And trying to make it really quick, I'll say that we served 176 people in adult education last year in everything from really basic literacy to upgrading reading and math skills for particular jobs to high school completion and GED. And we had 62 adults get their high school diploma or their GED last year. And the best thing about that is attending the ceremony where they graduate and seeing all their kids out in the audience cheering on their parents for accomplishing this. It's really pretty cool to see.
Very cool.
Going on to page 8 is our youth services. We served 218 youth. These are typically 15 to 19 typically. The one program that I want to point out is our Beaver Island Lighthouse School, which is a residential alternative high school. Our intention is not that students will attend that school until they're ready to graduate. The point of the school is that they come out there for 1 or 2 semesters and they turn their head around about learning and about their capabilities and their interests and their talents. Depending upon how many credits they have when they drop out of high school and then they come out to this school, some of them may end up having enough credits to actually graduate when they're done at Beaver Island. Others the goal is to get them to go back home and re-enter some kind of educational system. Typically, it's straight into a community college. But we did have 15 students last year who actually finished their high school diploma while at the Beaver Island Lighthouse School. Then on page 9, we move into our business development programs, and we really have 4 different programs that serve companies directly. One, of course, is part of Michigan Works. It's our Michigan Works Business Services. We served 1,093 companies. This is all by their choice. And you can see the chart there of where they're located by county and the breakdown by industry sector. So you can see that it's really tremendously varied. Page 10 covers our Small Business Development Center, and this is the program where we work one-on-one with startup companies or growth companies, really any kind of business, but typically they're smaller businesses. And we served 223 companies last year. The 3 circles you see there are the key measurements that we're held accountable for on this program. How much new capital was invested as a result of this business consulting, and that was about $6.5 million last year. How much sales growth was achieved as a result of the consulting, and that was over $44.5 million, and how many new jobs were created, and that was 101 last year. On page 11 are the other 2 programs. One is called PTAC, which is a pretty bad acronym, but it stands for Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So that's the program where we help companies get government contracts. So remember that the federal government in particular is the largest purchaser of goods and services in the world, and there's a lot of business to be had there, but getting through the processes and the bid processes and all the red tape that's involved with that can be really impossible, really, for a small company. We only have about 6 companies in our whole region that are large enough to have somebody on staff who handles government contracting. So this program walks them through the steps, sends them bid information that applies to their company, and helps them through that management process once they get a contract as well. In this program, the state also uses us to serve the entire Upper Peninsula. I just put numbers in here for our region. So we served 38 companies. The resulting contract dollar awards to businesses was $29.4 million, so that's a lot of business. And if you calculate the contract dollars that come in to the cost of the program, it's $331 received by companies for each dollar that's spent on the program. So it's a pretty good return. The Global Trade Alliance is our other program, and here again the state uses us to deliver it in the Upper Peninsula and the Northeast region as well as our region. I just counted our 10 counties there. We served 65 companies. And we help them get into exporting if they're not at all involved in it yet, but many of them are and just want to do more, and so we help them attend trade shows and help them with some language interpreters and that kind of thing. So that's what that program does. Moving on to the community services portion of our agency, this is where the report gets pretty wordy, but it is worth reading for your information. Our biggest activity in 2014 was the first comprehensive regional prosperity plan. That involved any community that was interested in participating, strictly voluntary. Lots of organizations participated, and it resulted in 9 different chapters, which are all in and of themselves really comprehensive research reports, and you can see those 9 different topic areas there on page 12. Also last year, we updated every county's natural hazard mitigation plan, and that was valued at $15,000 per county. We also have a role that we play in facilitating the MDOT Rural Task Force meetings where the local transportation folks decide how $7.9 million of federal and state transportation funds will be allocated. More information there on page 12 that you can read. On page 13, on the left-hand column, you can see the additional products that we released in 2014. Every year we do your asset management process for your roads, and you get that report each year from us, and that helps, that's your road rating on the road conditions, and that helps you determine, or your road commission determine, where to allocate sparse resources. We also did a county housing inventory for each of the 10 counties, and then an accompanying housing target market analysis. And I know you've seen those documents, and people from this county are working closely with our staff on various housing initiatives. We also did a commercial corridor inventory for all the commercial corridors in all 10 of the counties, and that kind of lists, that includes extensive data on land use trends, demographics, business patterns, infrastructure, gaps, and any other kind of information that a community would need to figure out how to make further investments in their business infrastructure, business support infrastructure. And also last year, we did the Northwest Michigan Seasonal Population Analysis. That was something people have been asking us for many years. We never had any resources to do that. We finally did get a grant to do that, and there's a lot of very interesting economic data in there, not just about tourism, but also about seasonal residents and the economic impact and some of the associated issues. We gave 10 small community growth grants last year. The one in Grand Traverse County was, I'm looking, it must have been Fife Lake, $10,000 to the village of Fife Lake. So you can see that in the middle column. And then the last column is just for information. We do a great deal of fee-for-service work, typically for units of government, but also for other organizations, and sometimes even for businesses. And you can see a summary of what we did in 14 on that chart. Almost done. Going to page 14 is our prisoner reentry program. This is a program that I could talk about for an extended period of time, but I won't, except to say that in the 10 years that we have been doing this in Michigan, the prison recidivism rate has decreased from somewhere between 50 and 55%, which was astronomical, to now 29% in Michigan, and in our region, 16%. So in our region, the prison recidivism rate has dropped from 50% to 16%. And this is a huge return on investment, 310% in any given year. And that's over the decade, a 68% decrease in recidivism. So the program's working. If you ever want to know why and how and some of those details, let me know and I'd be glad to give you some more information. I know Commissioner Wheelock has employed a number of the participants who have come through this program and I think has been satisfied. Page 15 is our financial summary. You can see that last year our budget was about $14 million. In the three pie charts, you can see where the revenue came from. It's mostly federal. You can see how it was broken down by the three components, talent, business, and community. Talent being by far the biggest part of that. And you can also see then in the bottom chart that our administration cost was 8.5% last year. That's pretty low. I think the reason we can do that is because we're a consolidated organization. The different things that run through our organization in other regions are done by 2 or 3 different agencies, but here they're done by one, so I think that creates some cost efficiencies. So I'll just stop there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Does anyone have any questions for Elaine?
Okay,
It was
thank
such
you.
a good presentation,
It was-
Elaine.
I felt like I was flying, but that's okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, we have items removed from the consent calendar. There are none. Moving on to department action items. Commission on Aging, Area Agency on Aging's 2016 Annual Implementation Plan. I would move to approve the Area Agency on Aging's 2016 Annual Implementation Plan. Is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Commissioner Kropa. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. On to Administration Finance. Dean, July claims.
Asking for approval of our July claims in the amount of $9,038,954.77.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Commissioner Crawford, to approve the July claims in the amount of $9,038,954.77. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next on the agenda, Title 4D, Cooperative Reimbursement Contract Amendments. Dean, if you would, please.
Yes, these are, we currently are under contract with the 13th Circuit Court and our prosecuting attorney. These are contracts, three parties, the county, the 13th Circuit Court, and the Department of Health and Human Services. That contract, or those two contracts, expire at the end of September this year. This is a one-year amendment to those contracts. If the information that's provided in the packet, obviously there's a lot of numbers that are involved, but it provides funding for the staff that are doing the work in our friend of the court office and the prosecuting attorney office. I have reviewed the amounts and I'm asking for your approval on these contract amendments.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the extension to the 4D contracts.
I'll second it.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Dr. Lathrop, to approve the contracts. Discussion? Commissioner Kropa.
The IT technical support model upgrade for fiscal year 2016. It says the amendments also include the budget for fiscal year 16 and require us to select an IT technical support model.
What that means, with the friend of the court and both the prosecutor, in some cases, they want us to use the state computer systems. If you look at page in your packet, there's a lot here. We have selected the county.
I had a hard time sorting through.
On page 79, we have selected the county managed. We want our IT department involved in whatever we're doing in terms of computers. Both the friend of the court and the prosecutor are in agreement with that. So we don't want to go to the state-managed system. So we will be selecting, when these are submitted, the county-managed model.
Does this require a software upgrade to the current county system?
No, with the friend of the court, they're asking us obviously to switch computers when the computers need to be, computers only last so long. But no, we're working with, how do I explain this in the easiest form? The state always wants us to be on their system, and they want to have complete control over how we do our IT function. That's not worked well for us. So whenever we have a change with anything we're doing with our computers, we want our IT, we want to have say in how that's done. And Dawn Rogers, the friend of the court, has, we've just kept that component in-house because we have more control with how things are done. That doesn't prevent us from doing things with the document imaging system, but we just do not want to be totally at the mercy of the state when they...
And the newly approved prosecutorial software update, that's compatible, or we would just...
It will be.
Okay.
We only, for this, not all of the prosecuting attorney staff work on this work. It's like 1.75 FTEs. But no, those systems will be compatible.
Okay.
Any additional questions? All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next on the agenda, the energy audit recommendation. Normally, we would be inviting John Syke, our county planning director, up to discuss this. However, as almost all of you know, Mr. Syke was married recently, and he is on his honeymoon. So, so we will forgive him for passing up tonight's board meeting. John did provide us a memo in our packet with the recommendation from the Capital Review Committee, and I will read the first part of it. Due to the condition or uncertain future use of certain county-occupied facilities. Recommended buildings not to improve for major projects are the West Front Street Building, the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and the Law Enforcement Center. The process for a new jail will take approximately 10 years, and because of the intensive use of the facility, it's recommended to continue to make improvements on the jail. I personally am in agreement with that, with the Capital Review Committee on that first part of their recommendation. The second part of their recommendation is that they would like to review previous county energy efficiency improvements, evaluating the benefits of those investments that we've already made, recognizing already planned future energy and efficiency improvements. Once the data and information is compiled, the committee is going to recommend the board compare this data and information with the recommendations of the energy audit prepared by Johnson Controls before taking any action towards energy efficiency improvements, including the RFQ process. However, should the board decide to proceed with the RFQ process, the committee strongly recommends that the board allow at least 4 weeks for proposals to be submitted to the county. I'm perfectly fine with allowing the Capital Review Committee to continue their work and come back with a recommendation at a later date unless someone wants to move forward more quickly. Anyone else have their thoughts on this? Commissioner Wheelock.
I believe Sarna's here from Seeds. She can also talk. She's helping us with the analysis of what we've already done. One of the things that the Capital Improvement Committee discussed in our discussion was the fact we have made significant improvements. We've had baseline 2009, I believe. 2011, we did a huge reconstruction at the Civic Center where we changed out all the boiler systems and all of those kind of things. So we're trying to evaluate what the energy savings for those were. One of the discussions that we had is the fact that, you know, every year Danny Brown gives us at budget time a request for capital improvements. Those capital improvements are never fully funded. So, you know, if we're talking about spending more money for Johnson Control, maybe we should talk about giving Danny a little bit more of the money that he's asking for his improvements and see what the value of that is. But I think the first thing is we need to evaluate what we have done from 2009 up to current time, and we're trying to compile those numbers for you right now.
Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I just think we need to make sure that it's done in a timely manner so that it's not another evolution of just going through the motions again and everything else. But, I mean, and I echo your comments about capital. I mean, I think just about every board member here would love to be able to really put some money towards capital improvements across the county, not just for energy efficiency, but for everything. I mean, this county's hurting as far as facilities and capital projects, and it'd be nice to be able to do something about that at some point.
Well, again, one of the things I like so much about Johnson Controls is it is a performance-based contract, and they will, obviously, if we go out for an RFQ, guarantee results. And the savings they guarantee will pay for the upgrades that we make. And I think we all are aware that we don't have a lot of additional dollars lying around right now. And so I don't want to dismiss Johnson Control, but I do want to encourage the Capital Review Committee to continue their work. So, Commissioner Kropa.
I may be the odd man out here, probably. I don't see any reason to not go forward with the RFQ process simultaneously with the Capital Improvement Committee working on it. I think a lot of their work appears to be rearview mirror, backwards. It's great to acknowledge the work that we've done at the county, but why can't we establish a baseline and move forward? And if they find some area that we excelled greatly in since 2009, we can continue our work in that way. But why stop the RFQ process? They're calling now to tell us that's a good idea.
They're calling our prosecutor.
They make the Capital Improvement Committee makes a legitimate request here as far as allowing it to be 4 weeks for the proposal. Great. Let them meet, let them do their work, let us have the RFQ process come in, and then we can have all the information in front of us. We tend to move real slow.
Well, you sold me. Make a motion.
Like this. The RFQ process won't in any way hinder the work done by our Planning Commission or Capital Improvement Committee at all. and we can get two things done at once, which I know we
You want to make a motion?
look at efficiency. I would like to make a motion to proceed with the RFQ process as outlined by the Capital Review Committee here, to allow for at least 4 weeks for proposals to be submitted to the county. I would also like to add to the motion that the Capital Improvement Committee continues their work on internal ideas for energy efficiency and capital improvements.
All right, we have a motion. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Discussion.
Could I hear that motion again?
No.
Only if Bonnie got it.
No, I think it's a motion to begin the RFQ process by utilizing the Capital Improvement Committee's suggestions of a 4-week allowance for the proposals to be submitted. But I'd like to add that simultaneously, the Capital Improvement or Capital Review Committee continues their work to look into the internal energy savings at the county. And then we can have all of the information and be able to compare apples to apples. They're doing good work internally at the county, but perhaps we can see good work externally, and we can see, most importantly, where we don't have duplication of services. And we may be able to cater the RFP, or the RFQ, to create an RFP that doesn't include duplication of services. There are things that perhaps we could do internally that would be more worthwhile than externally. But I think, why wouldn't we gather all the information right now?
Okay. Anyone else? All right. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All righty. Moving on to the Natural Education Reserve appointments. Commissioner Kropa.
Oh, that's me. I was stretching. You will see in your packet the listing of the 6 citizens at large that have been serving. Thanks to help from Steve Largent with the history of the NER in working with Chris Kramer and Tom Vitale from the Conservation District, we were able to make a baseline for us to move forward with. We are going to be reviewing the bylaws of the NER and working with Steve Largent and Tom to maybe see if a advisory committee that was formed during the Nixon administration may need a few upgrades. So for right now, though, the citizens that are serving are doing a great job. They want to be established, and we're moving forward. Chris Kramer has done a great job with this, and I feel good with the list. All that we would need is a motion by our county board to approve the slate of current sitting advisory committee members. As a side note, I did contact Mr. Colburn, the city manager, today. The bylaws allow for a city manager to place himself or a designee on the NER. I'm going to follow up with an email, and he is going to discuss it. I suggested maybe he talk to his city Parks and Rec commission, but I know that the NER Advisory Committee is hoping to fit in the pieces where it will be Garfield, the county, and the city all having representation on that board, along with the citizens at large that sit on it.
All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the slate of community members and representatives to reestablish the Natural Education Reserve Advisory Committee.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Crawford, supported by Dr. Johnson. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And please express our thanks to these board members who have served for so very long.
Many
and
of them are original founding members.
I just think it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great
that
group of
that
citizens.
they are as dedicated as they are.
Yep.
All right. Boardman River Ecosystem Restoration Project invoices. Dean.
We have, starting on page 115, if you want to scroll to that, 4 invoices from URS for the period. These cover the period of time from March 7th through July 3rd. I do have Dan here if you have questions, but I do want to just mention that I have reviewed the invoices. I've checked the tasks against the invoice documentation. I've extended and footed the invoices, and it would be my recommendation that they be approved for payment. I've identified, with the help of Kim from CRA, the funding source, which is explained in my memo to you. I don't think I need to read that. But Dan is here if you have any specific questions. And I guess I would like to, as part of our discussion, ask that after this, if the board approves these tonight, that we be allowed to take these to the audit committee for approval, and they approve your other invoices for payment, and that would be just, that's not included in my recommendation, but that's what I'd like to suggest. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions. The invoices total $119,221.50.
Before we have discussion, is there a motion to approve the invoices?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Wheelock, supported by Commissioner Crawford. Discussion.
I need a point of clarification before we start. The previous URS invoice that we had a question about, I did not see that in this. That's a completely separate item?
No,
and it predates?
it's not here, and Dan can explain this. Internally, they've gone through some changes, so they have re-invoiced for that work. That, I believe that invoice covered March 7th through April 3rd. Yeah. These are new invoices, starting where we have left off. Prior to this, Dave had approved them for payment. But no, that invoice that, when Commissioner Klaus pointed out there were some differences, that's not included here. These are revised
That invoice has been deleted,
It's
if you will.
included in what you have here.
The duration is covered, March 7th through present with these 4 invoices.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Klaus?
On the previous invoice, the total fee at the bottom of the page is $1,010,891.26. On your new invoices, the total fee is $1,011,000 even.
Right, so, and that I actually was talking with one of my colleagues about. According to the actual contract, it is a total amount of $1,011,000. For, we'll say, our internal budgeting items, when we were going through and developing our cost, it worked out to that slightly less number, and the actual contract amount was rounded. So for those reasons, for clarity moving forward, we made sure that that summary we provide matches the actual contract amount.
Okay. Are we going to be given the opportunity to see the past invoices, the 12 invoices up to this
12
point?
past invoices?
Yeah.
The county should have those on file.
I have not had a chance to pull that information together.
Okay.
That is on my list of things to do.
Okay, but we do have them internally then?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Dr. Lathrop?
Do you charge by the hour? Is that how you do it?
We do. We have a time and materials contract, so, sorry, apologize. We have a time and materials contract, so we charge by the hour and by the expense. So, obviously for our labor, but then also if we have material expenses, that is billed at a direct cost.
So, what do we pay one of your engineers an hour?
That very much depends upon the engineer. An entry-level engineer, I have to apologize, I don't know the numbers exactly off the top of my head. Some of our typical design engineers on the project is probably somewhere around, we bill out at about $75 an hour, I believe. If we would get all the way up to our national experts who occasionally provide us QA/QC or quality control on the project, those bill out potentially as high as $300 an hour.
How much?
300.
300. That's the top, is it?
That would be pretty much the top end, I believe, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So, like I said, those are way up national levels. They're very minimal inclusion on the
I heard that
project.
number, and I wondered where it came from and how often you use that number, so.
Yeah, not very often. I know it was mentioned a couple months ago in one of the meetings.
Yeah, the range is $70.18 up to $306.92 an hour. with varying rates at $100 an hour, $155 an hour, $123 an hour, in between there,
Thank you.
depending on the level of engineering.
Commissioner Klaus?
Is this a not-to-exceed contract, or do you expect that this is just?
It is a not-to-exceed contract. Obviously, if scope changes at all, we would be submitting a change order. There was a change order or a work authorization that we had already submitted previously. The project was split into 2 phases for Boardman based on available funding at the time. As part of that second work authorization, we actually did request an increase to cover some of the right-of-way work that was necessary for the project. That was not included in the scope.
Who approves those?
They're approved by the IT and by the county.
By the board?
By the board.
Okay, so we didn't see, since the first of the year, we
This
haven't seen.
This would not have been after the first of the year. So.
Thank you.
All right. Any additional questions? All right, we have a motion for approval of the invoices. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Dr. Johnson is having
Vote yes or no?
is having a hard time choking that one down.
I would like to request that the last 12 months of invoices be provided to the board.
We'll do that.
And Dean, I know you would prefer to have the invoices done at claims, but for now, again, my reasoning has not changed from when I initially asked these invoices to be presented to the board. We have new commissioners that really want to become familiar with every aspect of the project.
I can respect that. Is it required or necessary then for Dan to be here every time
I
bring
don't
an
think
invoice
so,
back?
no. I can't envision why it would be, but
What we could do, once they're included in the packet, if you have questions, okay, great, because I do want to limit Dan's time.
Right.
I want to keep him working on the
Yes.
project.
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right,
And obviously, any questions that do come up, we're always more than happy to.
all right.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is the radio communications project. This is a 2-part recommendation. I would move to approve for signature the MPSCS membership agreement. Is there support?
I will support that.
Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next part of the recommendation is approval of the contract with Motorola for Motorola brand MCC 7500 dispatch consoles, BHF simulcast paging, and 800 megahertz radio subscriber units as proposed. The contract agreement is under separate cover, or is it in?
It was in an email to us.
Okay, all right. Thank you, because I'm not seeing it here. And I'm going to move for approval. Is there support?
Support it.
Supported by Dr. Lathrop. Discussion. Commissioner Crawford.
I have a question. What we did receive through email was there was a contract for purchase and there was a separate contract for leasing. Which are we voting on? Which are we doing?
Dean has a recommendation on that.
My recommendation is that we purchase the equipment rather than lease it. We have funds available in our tax revolving fund to make a loan to an internal service fund.
Okay.
And the structure of that, obviously, the board controls that, but I've talked with the treasurer. We have the funds to do that, and that would be our recommendation. We would loan that money at a rate of 2%. The lease option was a rate of 2.39%. I couldn't quite get the numbers to work out, but it was pretty close. But we have the means to make the purchase, and that would be my recommendation, that we purchase the equipment.
Jason and Mr. Byrd, you are in agreement with that recommendation?
Absolutely.
All right. Commissioner Klaus.
So is the purchase of the radios, is it the $2,897,000?
The recommendation is for the approval of the package price of the aforementioned consoles, VHF simulcasted radios, at a cost of $3,566,919.
And I'm just going to state that I'm disappointed making over a $3 million purchase of not having more than one quote. when there's an opportunity to buy the same radios for upwards of $1 million less. We didn't do any request for a proposal. We just are getting Motorola radios, so I'm not in favor of it. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Johnson?
Well, unlike simply building a house, you know, I'd hate to have my butt on the line. I know I said butt again, I'll get
You keep doing that.
have my rear in trouble, you know, if I'm in a fire or something like that, and I have a lower quality radio that you can't hear good audible sound out of. I mean, you know, we're talking about the people on the front lines. It's one thing if you're gonna sit here and run a radio and just talk here, but if you're the person on that front lines, I want the best quality we can get, and they deserve that, so.
Dr. Lathrop?
I'd like to ask Dean and you, our purchasing policy, it exists. Did we follow it?
Yes, we
in
did.
this? Okay.
It allows for you to use the already pre-approved bid processes that are available through My Deal and such to obtain equipment such as this.
Now, are there other departments that buy things that way?
Yes, I'm sure that our Dean can probably elaborate on
Okay.
that.
Our purchasing policy does reference the fact that we can use state of Michigan contract pricing, and that's what the pricing that's quoted here is based on state of Michigan contract. I won't read the contract number, but the state has already gone through a formal contract, a bid and a contract award with the pricing. So we have not violated our purchasing policy.
So you're satisfied we were doing our?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Next question. The $1 million less radio, what system is that called?
Well, I think what he's referring to is a different manufacturer radio, which is a Kenworth E.F. Johnson or something along those lines.
And I understand.
So it's not a comparable piece of equipment.
I understand it didn't meet standards.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Commissioner Wheelock?
Well, a couple things. One, I don't think, at least in my mind, and most anybody that's ever used a portable radio, when you're talking about audible quality, Motorola is always superior, you know, hands down. I think if my discussion with Jason is correct, Motorola actually, in fact, bid these radios to us at a price less than the state purchasing contract. So, you know,
Right, that is correct. We're through the bundled package and then the incentives that they give us, it comes out to about $800,000 less than what state contract pricing would be, going direct to the state contract.
Okay, I'm going to call the question.
One other thing I
All right.
wanted to mention.
I guess I'm not going to call the question.
Sorry, the only other thing that when I
I'm
spoke with
flexible.
Jason about, I want to make sure, because when we talked about this originally, we were exchanging radios one for one. I want to make sure that we truly are evaluating the number of these radios that we actually in fact need.
I'm
You know,
pretty sure
I do
that,
know that, you know, at the time I left the fire service 5 years ago, you know, we had a box full of surplus radios in the storage room that no one was using. I want to make sure that we're not replacing the radio just because somebody walks in with a radio, we're not handing them out.
I think we can trust Mr. Byrd and Mr.
I
Torrey.
do too, that was just the other point that I wanted to make sure.
All
that
right,
we were
and-
evaluating how many radios we in fact need.
Let me get Commissioner Crawford, and then, did you want to say anything? Then Dr. Johnson, then
put your
then
button on
Commissioner
again?
Klaus, and, all right. Okay.
I'm
Commissioner-
first.
You are.
Okay.
You have the floor.
So, would you say that when comparing this contract for Motorola radios, or proposal for that, and comparing that to, say, Kenwood radios, for, let's just use the round number of $1 million less, are we comparing apples to apples, or not?
You're comparing a portable radio to a portable radio, but as
Okay.
far as apples to apples, the quality comparison is much superior with the Motorola product. Through our evaluation through the
Okay.
technical committee, which is comprised of all of your public safety agencies in all of Grand Traverse County, unanimously agreed that the Motorola product provides a superior quality, durability, and the audio that we need to do our day-to-day operations.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Johnson?
Yeah, and I want to clarify that I'm not attacking Commissioner Klaus by any means, because I think it's a very valid question to ask, are we doing right by the money? So I want to make sure Ron knows I'm not attacking him by any means, because there are items you can go low bid on and it has no bearing, but this, to me, this is something that
We took that very seriously. We understood that there would be some questions about why we buying a more expensive product. And the reason we're doing that, and almost 98% of the rest of the folks that operate on the MPSCS system, is because we do feel it's a superior product to the rest.
Commissioner Klaus?
Now, with the surcharge that was voted for, that was for upgrading our current system. And so if we spent the money to upgrade the current system with the radios we have, or we go to the 800 megahertz system with the Kenwood radios, which is the better system?
Upgrade our current radio communication system as it stands.
Right. Which
versus
is what the surcharge.
That would be a step. However, that wouldn't be where we want to end up, or would provide us what we're trying to achieve.
I understand that. And I just think that what we're trying to achieve would be like believing that our patrol cars should all be Mercedes because they have a better crash test rating than, so. That's all I want to say. I've said enough.
All right, I really would like to call the
I think
question.
we have to make one more thing.
Make it 10 minutes.
All right, Dr. Johnson, then Dr. Lathrop, and then let's have a roll call vote.
It's a great radio
No,
system.
no, I'm not going to say that. And I'm sure all the ladies and gentlemen in the audience that are first responders can tell you that one simple word can make a difference in how they treat situations. So clarity is paramount when you're talking life and death situations where the information is critical. I mean, it was critical when we were in the air in the Coast Guard, but we were not, on the front lines like the ladies and gentlemen are out here. So, I mean, I can't express enough how important it is to make sure that information that they receive is accurate without having to take the time to ask again and say, what's going on, so.
Dr. Lathrop.
Should we bring up the opinion we paid for?
We have a motion on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor. We're discussing the motion. That will come next.
Oh, that comes next.
I will.
You will bring it up.
I will bring that up.
Okay, cool.
I have one more comment, and I swear I'll be quiet. I just think you'll never know what the difference that he just talked about. You'll never know how many, if a life was saved or somebody got there a couple minutes earlier because they heard the address correctly. We won't know the difference. Because you'll never, it's hard to say, you'll never know the things that were prevented or helped by having a better radio system. But if one person was saved or somebody got there a little earlier or whatever, then it's worth the extra money. I would hate to always go with the cheapest possible option when this is not an appropriate time to do that. This is the appropriate time to go with the best possible option that's going to give us the absolute best result.
Bonnie, a roll call vote, please.
Kropa,
Yes.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Klaus,
No.
Crawford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Max Bauer.
Yes, motion carries. Next on our agenda, new business, coastal zone
Madam
management.
Chair, can I
Yes.
interrupt for a moment?
Thank you, you're right.
I would like to make a motion to open up to the public the attorney-client
Thank you.
letter from our counsel regarding the 911 ballot language.
Is there support?
I support that.
Moved by Commissioner Kropa, supported by Commissioner Crawford, to open up to the public the attorney-client privileged information regarding whether or not we can indeed do what we just did.
We probably already already made that clear, that the outcome of that, but I think it's important.
I
that,
absolutely believe that the public has a right to see it, and I'm sorry we could not make it public any sooner. This was our first opportunity at an open meeting to do that. Is there discussion?
I just want to make it clear to the citizens that the ballot language unequivocally supports the project that we are entering into with Motorola. Not only that, my personal opinion is it's why they went to the ballots and voted for it.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Kropa, for not letting me zip on by
I've been
that.
waiting for days to make that public.
I know. All right. Jean, the coastal zone management application.
Jean's turn.
Jean Dorenzi,
We were here at 8 this morning.
come on,
For a meeting.
come on down.
Good evening. My name is Jean Dorenzi. I'm the Deputy Director of the Planning and Development Department. Before you today is a request for a coastal zone management application for $220,000. And that's basically for two separate projects that's linked by the Boardman Lake and the Boardman River. The first project is, I'll identify it as the Boardman Lake Trail. It's to complete the loop around Boardman Lake, the 5-mile loop from 14th Street to Logan's Landing. And the second part is what we call the water trail component, which will connect infrastructure enhancements for paddling and recreational opportunities, but it connects people to the land recreational. The Boardman Lake Trail portion of the grant will be for schematics design to look at preferred options and up to construction drawings. This is an opportunity for Grand Traverse County to partner with Garfield Township, the City of Traverse City, LEA, which will be implementing the water trail components, and TART, which will be helping us with the implementation components of the Boardman Lake Trail. As identified in your packet, there is no general fund or no county dollars associated with this grant. There is a matching part of the application for the $200,000 component. The Brownfield Authority met this morning and agreed to set aside the $200,000 matching grant for the Boardman Lake Trail. This is part of a Brownfield plan, so those funds will come from that plan itself. And LEA is responsible for the matching, which would be $20,000, and they also have their match as well. So there's no county components or appropriation for this grant application. The City of Traverse City has a resolution asking you to consider this application, and Garfield Township as well approved last night a resolution of support for this application as well.
All right, is there a motion? Commissioner Kropa?
I will make the motion that the County Board of Commissioners enter into a joint application with LEA for a total grant amount of $220,000 for the Michigan Coastal Zone Management Grant for Boardman Trail West Phase 3 and the Water Trail component, with a local match of $200,000 from the Boardman Lake Trail to be recommended, actually approved. It was approved from the Boardman Lake Trail Brownfield Plan.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Kropa, supported by Commissioner Crawford. I see we have City Commissioner Howe with us this evening. Would you like to say anything on the subject? We'd like to invite you up.
Thank you, Commissioner, and hello, Commissioners. Glad I could make it here. I'm just here in support, and I'm also excited for the partnership, but also excited for this trail. I live nearby the trail, so I'm on it quite frequently, and there's a lot of anecdotals I could go into, but some of them are, if you hang around Logan's Landing long enough, you're going to run into people who are, where's the trail to connect? I'm trying to go around the lake. And I've had that several times, and the last guy I remember who talked to me about that actually visits from Ontario, and for some reason, he doesn't know about all the other trails in the region. He tends to go to that trail because he's familiar with the library. So I was that guy sticks in my mind because I'm like, there's other trails, but okay. But anyway, so I think from a recreational standpoint, it's a really gem to have this in the core area like this. Not many cities have the opportunity to go around a lake in their core area. But also, I've heard from, and city commissioners have, and I don't know if you guys received the same emails we have. I've received quite a few emails from NMC students at the University Center, and more increasingly employees of Tyson Foods or some other businesses along this area who live in the city or live in Garfield Township across the lake, and they're looking for choices on how to get to work. And they're year-round too. It's not just in the summer. So I think from an economic standpoint, this is not just recreational. It's real transportation for a lot of people, and just remind folks, the less people we have driving, that's, clears up the streets a little bit more if they can get them on their bikes or other means. So I'm just in support, and thank you for taking this up.
Thank you for coming this evening. We also have Garfield trustee Molly Agostinelli in the audience. Molly, did you want to say anything, or I certainly would not want to.
Molly always wants to chip in something. Since you asked.
Yes.
Well, I just want to say that Garfield Township is fully in support of that, and we look forward to having the trail completed, so.
All right, well, thank
Please
you.
pass it.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Molly.
To show your support. All right, I did ask, just in case anyone didn't, whether or not Grand Traverse County General Fund dollars will be invested in this, and the answer was no, and the city is taking the lead on this. I do look at I not only look at the radio project, but I look at that this trail project is an opportunity to partner with the city of Traverse City, and the more we can do that, I think the better our community is for it. Commissioner Kropa.
I wanted to point out Lee Curtis here from TART, and TART will be the overall project manager and coordinator of this project, which is bringing together 3 different local government entities along with LEA. And it's a good opportunity to point out that without partnerships with TART, our parks system and our trail system wouldn't be what they are in Grand Traverse County.
That's true.
And this particular trail, it's no surprise to anybody, I'm a big supporter of it, but it is really an elbow in our trail system, as I say, because in the middle, you kind of stop. You have South Airport Road, and again, we all know how I feel about South Airport Road. But we met just the other day to talk about the Boardman River Trail, phases 1, 2, and 3. This is connecting the city of Traverse City all the way to the North Country Trail outside of Kalkaska. And the Boardman Lake Trail itself is an integral part of that, in my opinion. But we're talking about redevelopment in the Logan's Landing area, in the Nature Education Reserve, and all of this hinges on these trails that are connecting all of it together. And if you had the opportunity to see the Grand Vision map, and I don't mean Grand Vision like the Grand Vision, I mean the Grand Vision of the trail system, it's really quite impressive, and you will see how important the Boardman Lake Trail is in that. We're hoping to, right now, if you bike or walk, you have to go through the abandoned mall part of Logan's Landing. That's the official TART Trail run. We're talking about what the construction engineers will look at in the planning. We're talking about a boardwalk, possibly a pedestrian biking bridge that would connect through the real swampy areas at Medalley Park and Logan Cove and Logan Point. And all of this will help bring together this trail system that the Boardman River Trail will be connecting to, and it's really kind of a neat overall picture. And well worth supporting, on top of it. So I just wanted to point out TART is not only going to be a project manager for this specific thing, but their overall vision for trails in the county hinges, I believe, a lot on this trail. So I'm excited to see it happen and see what we can do in improving our county park on the Boardman Lake, as well as hopefully the Logan's Landing.
All right. In that case, I will now call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right. Next on the agenda, new business, labor contract discussion. That would be me. You all saw my memo. I did meet with Dean, and Mr. Menzel was there. I've spoken with Paula Segala about having a meeting in closed session very, very soon for the county board to discuss the contracts that are going to be up. I've been assured there is time to do that, and so look for a closed session in August. That's my report. All right. This is our second opportunity for public comment.
The public bailed.
They did. The public has.
Oh, but there's one.
One, please.
Greg.
You got beat.
Greg Bird, Chair of the Central 911 Board of Directors. On behalf of the public safety agencies of the county, I want to thank you for your support and your involvement in this project. As many of you may have seen in the addendum that came out, this was nearly a year-long project that took a lot, and Jason, there was a lot of naysayers of everybody from all public safety agencies coming together and going through a whole bunch of different processes and options and alternatives and testing, volunteering their time, and This all started with last year's Board of Commissioners, and it has come forward into us, asking to undertake a project and come back with recommendations. And it was a long and tedious process. I respect all of your opinions, all the back and forth. Dean, appreciate your efforts into making the finance piece come, along with the prosecuting attorneys with the contract and back and forth. But this is a project that will immediately, the public safety agencies and the citizens of the county see an improvement in the way we're able to respond, process, and handle any emergency in the county. So we appreciate your assistance and support of the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
My name is Chris Kinlinger. I'm at 4248 Eagle Ridge. And I appreciate our emergency responders, and I appreciate Commissioner Crawford's comment about we'll never know if we'll save a life or not. But my question is, the amount of money we're spending on the 911 is significantly larger than what I believe we voted for, and so there's going to be a potential deficit. So where is that money coming from? That's what I'd like to know from the commissioners. Because you said yourself, Chairman Max Bauer, that we're in a permanent fiscal crisis in the county, and we know that there's a huge pension deficit. And so if we're going to spend an extra $1 million on something, or actually almost over double what was originally thought for the upgrades, we have to balance that somewhere. So you must have thought about that and figured out where we're going to make the cuts. That's my question to the commission.
Thank you. Anyone else? Our sheriff.
Good evening, Tom Bensley, Grand Traverse County Sheriff. Hopefully you saved the best for the last, and I don't mean me. As most of you know, the day after tomorrow will be Captain Bob Hall's last day as an employee of the Sheriff's Office, and he is currently the jail administrator. So Captain Hall has been with the Sheriff's Office for 35 years. I didn't have a chance to look, but my estimation is that could be the longest serving employee of the Sheriff's Office. So I would encourage you all tomorrow afternoon, I think it's at 2 o'clock in the basement, there's a recognition for Captain Hall. If you don't have the opportunity to be there tomorrow, I would appreciate it if after the meeting you would personally thank him for his 35 years of service to the Sheriff's Office. Thank you.
Is it at 1 o'clock?
Is that tomorrow or Friday?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Just
1 o'clock.
Tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
1 to 3. 1 to 3 tomorrow, I believe is the way the invitation was.
1 to 3.
You're going to miss Captain Hall standing behind the sheriff going, no, no, yeah, 1 o'clock.
It's my job to keep him in line.
Yeah, I know. All righty. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Groba.
I have a few. First is the Brownfield. I wanted to mention the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality was in Traverse City last week, and Jean hosted a really nice day-long walk, very hot, day-long walk, starting in the Government Center, walking through all the projects. We ended up at the Commons, and myself and Mark Eckhoff, our chair of the Brownfield, were there as citizen representatives, and it was absolutely a worthwhile day. Not only did we put names with faces with the state of Michigan DEQ, but they were amazingly non-bureaucratic. And Mark said at our Brownfield today, we said we expected this sort of bureaucracy type thing, and it was really such a beneficial day that we spent with them. And their views of the projects going on in Traverse City were well received. It was an absolutely worthwhile day. And 2 days prior to that, Jean also hosted the Regional Prosperity Initiative walking tour with our legislators and the community stakeholders, the people that actually purchased and built these properties utilizing the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, and it was a great time to talk to them, and so that was all really worthwhile, and I was very grateful to be a part of it. And last but certainly not least, I wanted to give you my heartfelt thanks to everybody at the county with the death of my mother. And I want to thank all of you for your donation in her name. Many thought I would pick a donation to the Alzheimer's Association, but instead I chose the Grand Traverse County American Legion baseball team.
Wow.
Because I know my mom would have supported it, and I wanted your dollars to come back to support our citizens, because that's why we're here. So anyways, I want to thank you and thank everyone for all of their cards and calls, and it was, it made a big difference to me. So thank you, and thanks to Bob, who's a veteran on the American Legion. We couldn't support you more.
Thank you. My boys play American Legion.
And yes, so
Yes, so we're
thank you
grateful.
for your generous donation and for allowing me to give it back to our county.
Dr. Lathrop.
I went to I'm on the board of Beta Bus, and today we started our plans. Tom Menzel has really done a wonderful job with Beta and turned it completely around so successfully. Is about to retire from Beta. So we have voted our board today to interview. We have two incredibly good internal candidates that already work for Beta, that either one of them would be wonderful to take over Tom's job. So we're in that process now, and it's exciting to see these two younger people have a chance to move forward and show their leadership qualities. So we're excited about that.
Anyone else? Next is notices, and I have one. I would like to remind everyone that the Michigan Association of Counties Conference is occurring in Grand Traverse County in September. Yes. And it would be good if we all registered to attend that conference. I want to let you know that I met with Leah McCallum, who is United States Senator Gary Peters' representative for our area, and I have invited her to attend the MAC conference, and so I can introduce her to other county commissioners from our area, in the area that she is the liaison between us and Senator Peters. And I think that's about all I've got.
I forgot one last thing.
Go.
Just a shout out to Parks and Rec. I stopped by today. It's our annual week-long pool closure at the Easling Pool. The staff of both Facilities Management and Parks and Rec, along with volunteers from the Friends of Easling Pool, did a tremendous job cleaning it, and I got to see them hook the fire hose up to the fire hydrant and fill back up the pool, which takes about a day. But a lot of people don't realize our pool is closed now, but all the work that goes into it, they are currently repainting the whole Civic Center lobby for the pool, and the facilities guys are putting in a lot of work, and along with, obviously, our Parks and Rec staff. So I just wanted to say thank you to the volunteers, and for that, it looks great. A lot of work.
All right. Dr. Johnson.
Just to throw back into Parks and Rec, I was prepping for an interview for Interlochen Public Radio and been working with Christine Erickson on getting numbers for the pool, since I'm probably the most vocal about closing it. And I tell you what, she is doing a wonderful job. The gap is closed when she's finally got some good numbers. But also, you just pass along to the board, to John Roth and the board, that I think they did an excellent job of picking her, and she is doing a wonderful job running that department.
I continue to be impressed by Chris Erickson on a weekly basis. We are so fortunate.
We do make some good decisions, you know. Happens once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? We are adjourned.
Oh, that's great.
Signatures.
Saw your email.